We want also to look at what has been happening, of course, on Sunday, which Jacob was talking about. What was happening on Sunday? The heightened election campaigns also tied to the presidential succession in 2022 unnecessarily raised political temperatures and risks, undermining economic growth. Kenyans went to the polls in 2017, but have not had peace since. First, National Super Alliance organized street protests thereafter, which were characterized by destruction of property, violence, and human pain, and nearly brought the country to its knees. Now, it was not until March last year when President Uhuru Kenyatta and NASA torchbearer Raila Odinga entered into a truce through the handshake that the violence ceased and the country breathed a sigh of relief. However, the handshake has since been rocked by stiff opposition from factions of the political elites who are profoundly uncomfortable with the camaraderie between President Kenyatta and Mr. Odinga. Matters have not been helped by the fact that, other than the ensuing political calm and the Building Bridges Initiative team collecting views on governance, the public is not well versed with the deal between the two. Notwithstanding that, our concern is that for the past several months, political leaders across the aisle have been crisscrossing the country, literally campaigning, but disguising themselves as either fundraising or inspecting development projects. What is appalling is the insults and invectives from the gatherings aimed at dismantling presumed rivals, but whose net effect is to plant seeds of discord. Now, the frequency and the pitch of diatribes is quite unnerving and revolting. That must stop forthwith. The President, his Deputy William Ruto, Mr. Odinga, and other political bigwigs have a duty to the populace of maintaining peace and sobriety. A country cannot be permanently in campaign mode. It's like ours is a case where the search for votes begins immediately after an election, which raises the questions: why do the politicians seek power? Is it power for its own sake? Yet before elections, politicians roll out manifestos that outline their programs of action. They spell out activities they seek to undertake if elected. Thus, it is expected that once they ascend to power, their business is to execute those programs, which, in essence, ought to provide a platform for the next elections campaign. We shall be looking at this, but of course we want also to get just the political tone and tenor that was happening last week. We begin with the women. Of course, we have now women also who are actually pulling on the other side of the divide. We have the team Tanga Tanga women, of course, who are saying this is, I can't remember the actual name of this particular, and it's eluding me right now. But of course, we also have the Embrace Initiative, who are preaching peace. And we have the Nimama, actually Nimama, Inua Mama project. Thank you for reminding me. This is Aaron Cheriot as well. But we just want to see what was happening on the ground. That is in Malindi and also in Murang'a as well. Let's just see. Well, my director tells me he doesn't have that particular clip as it. We shall be looking for that. But of course, we want to see what was happening on Sunday as well. Let's listen in. I know you've had this, but of course, we want to see also the perspective of our panelists this morning as well. And this was, of course, Kasarani on Sunday.
No more than a Guganadalia na Rugaito. Na no go the Oroka Guito na Neguirado. Mecoreno to Duleta Toreta Siasa. Matigesi Diene de Kekiao. Matigesi Diene de Kehe Natoigua. Na matiko ndoga mia barabara ria ndithondekeire iria ndirenda gukinya na kuria ndirenda gutwara andu aitu na kuria ndirenda kumakinyia ne mwajigua andu aitu ne mwajigua ati matore guku mathiururukaga meci nie ndiaheirwo kura neo nie ni ndamacariirie kura inywe ne inywe mwanjikirire haria ndi na ngurugama na kihoto kiu kinya ndikie wira uria mwaheire ni mwaigua andu aitu ne mwajigua andu aitu ne mwajigua andu aitu ne mwajigua giko giki gitige gutinda gikingia guku maki ne twaiguithania nie ndirenda thayo na ngocareria andu aitu thayo kuria guothe nguruta na ndige ati andu aitu miaka ingi 50 eguka gutire mundu gathinagio hari ari akahuraga biashara yake na akarima mugunda wake na ageka maundu maria arenda agathomithia mwana wake agathie thibitari agakora ndawa maundu macio nimo ndina bata namo ni twaiguithania tondu manyonaga ngirite uguo mageciria nikuga ndoigire ndirenda siasa ni murajigua matigecire ni kundisha mandishaga ngamaruta kinya kuu mathiaga tiga wone
All right, it's People and Politics, and of course, I want to introduce our guest this morning. If you've not, or if you're joining us right now, we have with us Senator Aaron Cheriot, who is a senator for Kericho. We have also Dr. Eseli Simiu, who is a member of parliament for Tongaren. We have Jacome Dio, former member of parliament for Gem. Also, we have Boni Khalwale, who is the former member that is the former senator for Kakamega. And also, we have Senator Kimani Umatangi with us as well, who is a senator for Kiambu. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Dubal.
Right, so you had that particular statement from the president on Sunday, and this has really sparked a lot of reactions so far as far as politicians are concerned. But we can see also some of the Tanga team are alleging that MPs, they're being harassed by state agencies so far. People who are not, maybe aligning themselves to President Uhuru Kenyatta. So there's that towing and froing that is ongoing as far as Jubilee is concerned. Some of them, like Ndidi Nyoro, saying that, yes, we have the government which is planning now to use some of the state agency to harass us. We have Alice Wahome as well, that some of the cases that they've been lying low since 2012, now they're being revived. And this is the same that is happening also to some of the legislators within Jubilee who are allied to the Tanga team as well. But I just want to get your reaction before we drill deeper and look at the dailies this morning. And we begin with you, Aaron Cheriot. First of all, we saw William Ruto walking into the podium late after the president. I don't know how protocol is supposed to be as far as the president. If the president is seated, do we have the deputy president walking in after the president? Isn't that a breach of protocol in the first place? And I'm given to understand from our sources as well that he was not meant to be in that particular meeting. I don't know why he was running late, but of course he got intel that yes, he has to be in that particular meeting. But looking at the posture, looking at the body language as well, as far as President Uhuru Kenyatta and also Deputy President William Ruto is concerned, what was your reaction? Did you see that he was comfortable while those pronouncements were being made there?
You should stop misinforming the public, Dibal, or whoever is feeding you on this wrong info. You need to hire a new one, because half of what you said is unfortunately untrue.
That's why I stand corrected, and I wanted just to ask from that's why I'm picking also your brains as well this morning.
Yes, first of all, good morning, Kenya. It's quite interesting what we watched on Sunday. I will not delve into the details because the president spoke into a language that only Wamatangi understands on this panel. The rest of us can only second guess. If we were to try and use the interpretation of NTV, I'm not sure that you guys have done a good job at it. But anyway, that it is what it is. Back to the questions and the things that you raised earlier on about one was DP supposed to be at that particular function, and also his late arrival. You'd remember that I don't think there is any particular deputy who respects his boss more than the deputy respects his president, the president or his boss for that particular matter. And on many occasions, he always, on 99% of the time, he always keeps time and arrives way ahead of his boss to public functions. However, it appears to me, and I'm not sure about it, but it appears to me on that day because he was earlier on engaged in, I think somewhere in Pokot or Marakwet, if I'm not wrong, because I saw the news for the day. and they seem to have been running late. You know, the way when you go to a function, sometimes things happen and you end up running late. On the issue of whether he was supposed to have been there or not, I will tell you without the bat of an eye that actually this was his meeting. They planned this together with the leadership of the Akorino Church. And I know this for a fact because I was there when this, I had gone to do a completely different thing in his office when I bumped into the leadership of the Akorino Church. And they were preparing for this particular function. And I'm sure at the end of it, you saw that he presented them with a 6-acre title deed for land which he had bought for them to build their Bible college that he had purchased for them. So it tells you that whoever is claiming that it wasn't his meeting is completely misleading. On the other issue about the things that the president said, and you know, if I was to rely on your interpretation and what I've heard from my colleagues who speak the dialect, I understand Kikuyu, but I cannot claim to be a master at it. The things that the president said, I would say for me, I find them to be quite unfortunate. It shouldn't be the case. You know, as leaders, I really try as much as possible. And sometimes you go to a place where people have said unkind things to you, you've done something and they don't seem to appreciate. It happens to us. All of us here on this panel are practicing politicians. And sometimes people don't seem to agree to the vision that you're trying to carry them along. You go to a function and you're trying, say, to put up a classroom, and they say, no, we think a church or a cattle dip is more important for us here, and we don't buy those things that you're trying to tell us. Then they spin and put so much to it. Basically, you get furious as a leader because people don't seem to be buying into your vision. However, losing your cool as a leader is not an option. And it's not something that I would encourage any leader. Of course, it happens because we are all human. And sometimes you feel as if you've been pushed to the wall. But I would really guard against it and not encourage any of my colleagues. So, if you were to domicile this argument way deeper into, say, the party where the president comes from, it tells you that there are certain issues. Of course, there is this continuous narrative that the media continues to run about there being MPs allied to the deputy president and those allied to the president. I don't know what classification or what justification you use to divide people into those two categories. Like my colleague Senator Matangi has said on so many occasions, and I wish my friend Otiende was here today because he's a lead master at it, trying to separate those of us that belong to the Jubilee faction. Either you support the president or you do not support. I do not think we have that kind of factioning within Jubilee as a party. What we have are clear differences of opinion in terms of 2 to 3 issues. It boils down to, if I may say, 3 particular issues. Number one is the issue of the handshake. It is clear that all the members of the party, especially those elected, do not seem to have one position of this. There is those who support it and those who have a question about it. Number 2, I was just listing the 3 things which in my mind are considered to be the things that are causing considerable discomfort within Jubilee. Number 2, of course, is in follow-up to that, this thing called the Building Bridges Initiative. Many of our members of parliament, and you've seen wherever they've gone, I don't think there's any particular of their public engagements that you've seen members of parliament join them. Number 3 is this issue of whether in his tours around the country, the deputy president is doing what he was elected to do or is running early campaigns. There is also differences of opinion on what that counts to, and that is what has caused all these particular challenges. Lastly, maybe if I may add, though right now it doesn't seem to be a big issue, was that particular time when we had this thing called the war on corruption, which many people felt was not being driven in accordance with the law, but it was just a political conmanship that was going on. If those 4 things are not addressed amongst the hierarchies of Jubilee Party, then we are going to have a very difficult time. And let me say this for the record, Dibal, as I conclude. You see, the President Uhuru and Deputy President William Ruto, Jubilee does not belong to them. They are there on account of the vote that they were given by members of the party. And therefore, should it get to a point where members feel continuously disappointed or not at par and not at rhythm with how they are driving the particular party, I want to believe that members of a party will call them to order. And that will happen if this particular trend continues. I want to ask our leaders to see to it that they find a way to bridge this divide, which if not taken care of, can cause so much hurt to our party.
So you agree there's a divide as it is right now?
On the four issues, but not to the direction that you media people continue to drive it, that Uhuru allied MPs, Ruto allied MPs.
But it is clearly from the statement they make that, of course, you can see everyone where they're leaning, isn't it?
Each and every one of those leaders, including this Ndindi Nyoro, including Alice, including whoever you may want to brand as a Tangatanga MP, I have seen their public announcements. Every time they speak, they say, I respect the president and his deputy. So at what point do you determine who they belong to?
Let's say from Eseli, do you hold with his view? As far as we can see, is there a divide and a division within Jubilee right now?
I think Jubilee is taking this country for a ride. And this is the height of their deficit in etiquette. You know,
deficit in etiquette.
In etiquette.
Tell it to Aaron Cheriot.
You know, I think what they're displaying is what I call, you know, actually generally, they have always been fairly insulting when addressing issues related to their opponents, but now they have turned against each other, which is not surprising. After their opponents did a handshake, now they didn't have anybody else to really throw insults at, so they have turned against each other. However, I would say that I think both the president and the deputy's people need to reread their books on laws of power and things like those, because sometimes when somebody wants you to really do something unexpected, they push you against a wall, you get angry, and then you react the way the president reacted. But perhaps that's what they wanted you to do, so that they can now enjoy you even more. So I think that's what they did to the president, push him against a wall until he reacts the way he reacted, so that now they can start, you know, enjoying him and saying, you know, he's saying things which can't work, you know. And I think, but on the part of the deputy president and his people, I think the laws of power, you don't try to overshadow your boss and demean your boss in whatever manner. You try to, as much as possible, toe the line. After all, if he has the support of the people in the country, he doesn't need those huge entourages that go with him to go and tell people that, you know, we are with the deputy president and things like that. If he has the people, it's unnecessary, because we've had other. Okay, they were not deputy presidents; they were vice presidents, but they didn't have to go around with large entourages of elected leaders to convince people. I think when they deny that it's not early campaigns, they can tell that to the birds. It's early campaigns. They should not color it in any other way. So I think it's a dysfunctional Jubilee. This dysfunctional Jubilee is going to impact very negatively on the country's development for the coming years. Because as we speak now, we are drawing up budgets that are unrealistic. We are doing things that are not useful to the country, because everybody is concentrating on this dysfunctional Jubilee. And I think it's time they sat down and saw how to checked on how to put their house in order, so they don't take the country down the drain. Because as matters stand, I don't know why they are even quarreling, because any sane Kenyan should not touch Jubilee again. So I don't even know why they are quarreling. Are they quarreling over their past, or are they quarreling about the future? Because any sane Kenyan, I for one, will not be casting my vote for any Jubilee or any element related to Jubilee, because of what they have done to this country.
Thank you.
So I don't know what they are quarreling about.
Okay. Let's say from Ojakoyo.
I've never and I'll not.
Well, the chicken have come home to roost. You know, I said here last year that there will never be more NASA, there will never be more Jubilee. They were dead on arrival. It is good to prepare ourselves for the next configurations political. Dibal, back in 1969,
Yes.
as fate would have it, Uhuru's father used the same words, read the same riot to Jaramogi in Russia Hospital, Kisumu. And that day, there was a lot of commotion. So many of our people were massacred. This one of Kasarani, where the son used the same words, was a much more peaceful one. And I can tell you, see the distance between William Ruto and Uhuru was the same exact distance between Jaramogi and Kenyatta. So, Aaron Cherot, something you want to take home is that history has repeated itself, except the people are different, the players. I said here that you will not have Kenya in its current form because Kenya needs fixing. If it will take a very angry Uhuru Kenyatta to fix it, we will say heko. I think this country has politicians who are behaving very badly. Remember I said here when the DP said, we shall rule you until 2032, alafu tutaona. I said, wapi? 2032 will never, 2022, first of all, will never come until you fix the ills of the past, 2017 included. So the people campaigning really should be taking Kenya to the direction that Uhuru has realized we must go. The direction we must go is to fix a scenario where every 5 years when we go for elections, people kill each other. And I'm surprised that the MPs from central Kenya who lead the people who are most affected during elections, most affected, are the ones trying to play the 2022 politics using the current rules, the same rules which have led us here. Something must give. We must go the direction of change, and how I wish we could do it together, William Ruto included, so that it doesn't matter going forward who becomes the president of this country. But I am very happy. I am so happy, and in fact I'm excited that Uhuru Kenyatta has decided to wake up from his laziness and he has gone to work. He is giving direction, and this country can only support him when he says he has figured out we must do a clean break with the past. I do not understand what he said in Kikuyu. I'm sure Wamatangi is about to translate. But if it takes the Kikuyu language to explain to the country that things must change, I want to encourage him to talk to us in Kikuyu every day. Thank you.
And that is what actually you're alluding to, that particular headline that we had at the Sunday Nation, that is in 1969 October.
Yes.
It's the same headline that I think also was picked by the Star.
Yes.
I'll just show you what was on the Star, of course, yesterday as well. Maybe let's hear from Maboni Halwale.
You don't want me to benefit from the interpretation of the only Kikuyu on the panel? Wamatangi, please
I
come.
thought you came before Matangi, so
okay, fine,
be the last today.
Fine.
Okay,
I will talk.
Yeah.
I'll talk. I think Kenyans must realize that President Uhuru is just as human as any ordinary man on River Road. In 1984, in 2011, and in 2017, I want to give you or 2016, I want to give you examples that confirm that Uhuru is just as human as any other human being. What he was doing is consistent with human behavior. It should not mean anything special to this extent. There is something called politics of presidential term limits. That's what we are seeing. I.e., when the constitution of a country prescribes that a president must exit at a particular time, when you are in office and you are approaching the time of exit, you become what the Americans call a lame duck president. In 1984, in New Zealand, the then Prime Minister of New Zealand, Robert Maldon, behaved exactly like Uhuru, and he defied the Constitution to the extent that there was a constitutional crisis in New Zealand. In 2011, members of parliament from Mount Kenya defied Kibaki until it took the same Uhuru in a rally in Murang'a. Uhuru telling people that they should help the then President Kibaki to implement the agenda of his grand coalition government with Raila Odinga. In 2016, President Barack Obama lost his head when he saw that Donald Trump was about to win the election in the United States of America. And you all heard when he was lecturing the Democrats and Americans in general that you must give me a legacy. You must give me a gift in retirement for the good job I've done by electing Hillary Clinton. And then back to what Uhuru was doing yesterday.
On Sunday.
On Sunday. He is unhappy because some people are doing what he calls early campaigns. Mr. President, sir, if it is right for KANU MPs and Wiper MPs to sit somewhere in a corner of the country and say that Gideon Moi and Kalonzo Musyoka will work together towards 2022, Mr. President, sir, that is called politics. Mr. President, sir, if it is right for some MPs in a funeral in a corner of the country burying the mother of a governor, MPs belonging to ODM would then urge you to anoint Raila to be your successor, Mr. President, sir, that is politics. And therefore, if the two incidences is good for you because you don't appear to be offended by the same, what is wrong with some MPs who think that the choice for president in 2022 is William Ruto? What's wrong with them expressing the same? May I conclude by saying that I think we are now in the era of people crying and people ranting. We saw in Murang'a, Member of Parliament, Sabina Chege, ranting again in Kikuyu language over the same matter. And a few days later, you have seen the president himself ranting again in the Kikuyu language. Maybe we should just accept this is the era of ranting.
But why are we ranting?
Eh?
Why are we ranting?
We are ranting because we have refused to accept a simple thing which I defined at the beginning, the politics of presidential term limits. Once you have it, you should expect it. Thank you very much.
All right, let's hear from Kimani Omatangi. Are we a ranting nation right now? Do you agree with what Bone Halole is saying? It's only Jubilee that is ranting.
In fact, just a minute. Before I hand over, I think you have reminded me. I think the only people who appear to use the present words, who should be congratulated, is ANC and Ford Kenya. They are the only ones who are not aggressively pushing the agenda of the politics of 2022. Whether this is good for ANC and for Kenya, I don't know. If they were to ask me, I would advise them that they are sleeping through a revolution. ANC and for Kenya, stop sleeping and be part of...
But you were actually the deputy party leader of Ford Kenya. Why weren't you telling Ford Kenya then they stop sleeping? Okay, let's hear from Omatangi.
Dibal, let me take the opportunity first to say good morning to our viewers. And first, clear there, because Bonnie has correctly said that in this panel, I'm the one who might understand clearly what the president said in my language. And so, can I first declare that he was not ranting? He spoke passionately, very passionately, to the extent that you would interpret it to be highly emotional. But Dibal, the interesting thing is that, but I would derive that, or I would conclude that some of the conclusions we've made here are out of the fact that most of us don't understand the language. But interesting enough, even after interpretation, which you have screened there during the talk, you find that we chose to ignore probably some of the most important things that he said in that passion. First, you know, he started by declaring unequivocally that he is not interested in running for any position after 2022. And he repeated that twice. And that should be information that should get us talking in the first place. He said, I am not interested in any seat of power, even after this. That should make news. Not the issue of what he was saying about members, but I'm coming there. Two, then he spoke clearly about what his vision is for the country, although he spoke in the Kikuyu language. But his, and the interpretation should have been able to capture that. He said he wants to see a nation where every Kenyan can go to any corner of this country, do their business, have their children there, send their children to school, do their farming, and anything that you want without anyone interfering with you because you're a Kenyan. That's what he spoke about, even more longer than he spoke about the other issues. Then thirdly, then he spoke about, after speaking what his vision was, then he spoke about why he thinks that the country and the people that he helped himself to get elected during our campaigns should see and rally behind the vision of Jubilee. And he is the Jubilee party leader, and his deputy was sitting just next to him. So can I just say two things very quickly? First is precisely what Aaron Chariot was saying. You see, when the president was speaking, the deputy president was sitting next to him. He did not say a single word that suggested that he was either deriding the deputy president or anyone. Indeed, even when he referred to those people that he was referring who are working at cross purpose with what the vision of the party is, he was not referring to any support of Jubilee, of the DP route or Tanga Tanga. That is the creation of the media. I want to put this very, very clearly. Listen to me first, because you said I know the language. I'll tell you what he said. One, I want to say to members of parliament, not necessarily the ones who have been quoted here in the press, because I also belong to several platforms where the Kikuyu community also communicate in social media, in other aspects, and say to the few, because there are few members of parliament and there are also other people within the community, bloggers and so on, who have taken specifically on insulting the president as a person in social media and other forums. And once you make it your business or pretend to be contributing to certain aspects and you are insulting him as a person, as Bonnie said, he's a human being. Number two, he's worthy of respect. And I do not think that at any one time he referred to any MP. I would be surprised in the first place. And I will say this. When he spoke, he did not quote Ndindi Nyoro. He did not quote Alice Wahome. He should have, if those are the people he was speaking about. He didn't. So even for them to have reacted and be quoted here, to be saying that this or that, they are contributing to the disinformation.
To be quoted where?
I mean, in the media. It's all over in the press.
Yeah, but
I mean, this is why you're saying that there's a comment by Ndindi Nyoro, there's a comment by Alice Wahome.
Could we just flip over to page? Now, yeah, it is there on page 6 of the Daily Nation today, and of course I didn't show our viewers what is headlining the front page of the Daily Nation this morning.
You're referring to a different story. You see, if you look at the Nation, if you look at the Star, it quotes that this particular member of parliament, that is Ndindi Nyoro, Alice Wahome, others like Ngirishi, reacted and said that the president should not be saying that. But the president in his speech did not refer to them specifically. What I'm saying is, even for them to react to that story is contributing to the disinformation. I'll tell you why it contributes to the disinformation. What is so difficult about the president referring to Wamatangi if he wants to talk to Wamatangi? I mean, he's more powerful than me. He can be able to discipline me as a party leader if it's through the party machinery. So I would even want to urge members of parliament who are members of Jubilee that the more we buy into this story that divides the party, and the party has a common vision. When the DP rose to speak in that occasion, he rose to speak and he was supportive of the agenda of Jubilee. And I want to say this as I conclude, Debal. Let everybody in Jubilee know this, and this includes all of us from top to bottom. If indeed the agenda of Jubilee failed as promised in our manifesto, the president would not succeed. Because in his legacy, he would have a failed legacy, and which is not his intention. If the DP was to campaign in 2022 in the backdrop of a failed manifesto on implementation of what he promised to the people, he may even not be able to capture what he intends to capture in 2022. What am I saying? That the vision, the manifesto, the promises that Jubilee made in 2022 is the credo and platform upon which the success of the party and everybody in the party will be based. And so, as I conclude,
I'll come with my red card now.
The president, when he spoke, Debala, and I want you to be having a timer, not the red cards.
The timer?
A timer. because
I'll come with my timer.
Yes, yeah, I want you to be having a timer. Because everybody else speaks longer, but when I speak, you want to raise the red card. Have a timer. Have a timer. But anyway, what I wanted to make as my concluding remark is that for us as Jubilee, and I want to say to all my members, my colleagues in Parliament, that what the President spoke about literally is really what is ailing us as a party. He was angry, he was not impressed, he was emotional. That is a different story. But he is human. He could be agitated. And like I have said, there are members of Parliament and bloggers who have taken upon themselves to be insulting him personally. That is wrong, and we cannot allow that. But finally, for Jubilee to succeed, for the agenda of Jubilee to succeed, for us to have a legacy he will bequeath, for the Deputy President to run in 2022 and succeed, which is what we want, then we all must read the same page. We must act, support the President now to finish his term, deliver on our agenda, and then we'll take on 2022. As we had said, we will.
All right.
That's how we should be.
All right. Thank you, Matangi. But we just want also to refer to that particular page on page 6 of the Daily Nation today. Tanga team talks of plot to harass them using state agencies. MPs from Mount Kenya region feel they are being targeted for supporting DP Ruto. But you say within Jubilee everything is intact. There's no Tanga, there's no Kieleweke, according to Matangi. But there are people who are feeling they're frustrated by the state because they're supporting Deputy President William Ruto. One is the person that we're discussing, also Kiharu MP Ndidi Nyoro, who is an ardent supporter of a DP, claiming the government is planning to use the police and Kenya Revenue Authority to frustrate those in Team Tanga. And Nyoro said his close friends, including fellow lawmakers, have warned him. Lawmakers have warned, just to keep his support for DP low-key or risk finding himself in trouble. I know you want to say that we're mixing two issues here. No, but that is where it's...
one person, I want to remind you something. Just recently, the other day...
Can I just finish?
Just a quick one. Recently, who sits in this panel, you remember we had a discussion here when my business was destroyed there in Arab West. And I lost more than 150 million. I would have been the first standing on this podium saying that I'm being tortured and my business being destroyed because I support the DP or because I do this. But for purposes of ensuring that there is continuity in what we have set as a party, I decided to take the high road. First, find out who is it, deal with it legally, move to court, seek compensation and justice because I was supposed to be there. Now, if you have some challenges that you have, deal with them the way they're supposed to be dealt with. If you find that, for example, you have a matter that's in court, go get represented. If you have issues where you require security,
Thank you.
ask for it and loudly.
Okay.
But we cannot buy into that narrative that will continue to divide what the agenda of the party is. We cannot.
All right, and also Alice Wahome told the nation that the state has revived the 2012 civil suit against her with the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, now ready to prosecute her in what is a civil matter that has nothing to do with DCI. And of course, we know that is that particular case with the Konange property as well.
Let me help you, Dibal, and I want you to listen to me because I explained this thing earlier, but you still want to insist on your point. In fact, I would suggest that you remove your earpiece so that you hear me well when I explain this.
Okay.
You see, this is what if you want to understand, let me put into context what is happening to our party. There is a sustained media campaign by people like you and the rest of the people in the newspapers to divide Jubilee into two factions of either you belong to President Kenyatta or his deputy William Ruto. I have told you in no unequivocal terms that there are no such factions within Jubilee. But I have went ahead and listed to you that there are 4 particular issues. And I have told you the handshake, building bridges initiative, war on corruption, and whether to go out on weekends, whether it is campaign or no campaign. Those 4 particular issues have members of Jubilee Party on different sides to it. And therefore, that shouldn't be interpreted to mean that in any way. For example, I would wish to know, in this book of yours that you have divided us into either the president or the DP, where do I belong? Yet I am a supporter of both my party leader and his deputy. There are certain things that I do not agree with them, and rightfully so, because I'm an elected leader. I have people that I represent. If any of the decision of either the deputy president or his excellency the president do not augur well for the people that I represent, then it is constitutionally expected of me that I will voice it out with them, first of all in private, and if it proves to be difficult to do so in private, then to do it in public. Therefore, that is the divide that exists in Jubilee. And I had said earlier, unless we have a mechanism for resolving these particular 4 issues and having a clear understanding, sitting down and saying to the president, Mr. President, you are our party leader. Please explain to us what you mean when you say that members of parliament are obstructing you from carrying out your development agenda. What is it that we have done? Is it that we have denied you budgetary allocation because that is what we are able to do? Is it that we have gone out to the fields and told people do not accept this particular government project, oppose it? Sort of, we would wish to understand for him so that where we have gone wrong, people can make amends. And the same will be expected of the deputy for the people, because he has his fair share of little as small as the number might be, he has his fair share of critics within the party. On the issue that you're referring to about the members of parliament being harassed, I hold a slightly different view from what Wamatangi is saying. The truth of the matter is that government is a big juggernaut. There are so many factions and facets to it, and people misinterpret certain things. You know, there are people, for example, who when they watch the president raise the concern that he had about members of parliament from his region on Sunday, they interpret it as a declaration to war. They are over-enthusiastic civil servants who imagine that the president has donated to them powers now to go after these particular members of parliament, such that you find, you know, and I have raised on this particular panel, how the police service has sunk so low under the leadership of IG Mutiambai, because it is so clear that even in the issue of security details to members of parliament, it is only those that are perceived to be supporters of a deputy president that he keeps on going after their security. The same can be said of many other things. Alice Wahome has pointed out to you, for example, that in a case that had almost died a natural death, and there are millions of cases that die a natural death where the state is no longer interested in pursuing certain charges. Maybe they come to realization that you may not have been on the wrong. And it happens to very many ordinary Kenyans. But they keep it hanging over your head so that at a particular time when they feel as if you are not in tow or in line with the things that they feel you should be doing, they bring it upon you. Therefore, it is extremely unfortunate and unexpected.
So
and
how will you
unbecoming.
characterize that? Because here we have people who are being frustrated. Their security details is actually pulled out, and they feel the state is targeting them. How will you characterize?
Is it with the sanction of President Uhuru Kenyatta? Absolutely no. That is not the president I know, unless he has changed, which we would have known. But I have told you, government is such a big thing that there are people who, in their enthusiasm, it's like this other confused group called Kieleweke. You know, when they run around churches in Sunday, they think that what they are doing, they are doing the president any particular favor.
So you agree also there's Kieleweke, and you say there's no division within Jubilee, Tanga, but
I told you,
there is a
I
Kieleweke.
advised you, Deval, you know, I advised you earlier to remove your earpiece, then you will understand me earlier. You failed to do it. Now I cannot
Let me remove my
help you
earpiece
anymore.
then to get a clear understanding.
I cannot help you anymore.
Okay, because I think you have it convoluted also for the viewers, because now you're actually alluding that there is Kieleweke.
I have
And
told
you have
you
this group, yes.
There are 4 issues that members of a party hold divergent views, but that cannot be misconstrued to mean that there is a division of either whether you are for president or his deputy. We are not there as a party.
Okay.
How difficult is that to understand?
Aaron Cheruiyot should be a lawyer. Where is the constitution nearby you so that you can pull it out like Otiende Amolo, who is not here today actually to butt head with
I
you.
have told you, I am the longest serving elected member of Jubilee as a party. The rest, including the president and his deputy, and Wamatangi here, were elected in 2017. I came in earlier than them. Therefore, when I speak matters Jubilee, take me more serious, perhaps more than anyone.
Than Wamatangi.
I think so.
All right, we need to take a short break right now. No, we need to take a short break right now. When we circle back, we continue with more, and also, of course, also on the table is the divisional revenue bill that has sparked a lot of debate within Parliament right now. What is the way forward as far as that bill is concerned? So we'll tackle that as well on the other side of the break. Don't go away.
The Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Public Service, Youth and Gender, Professor Margaret Kobia, welcomes you to the Africa Public Service Day celebrations from Friday 21st to Sunday 23rd June.
Sherekea nasi with Jumia Anniversary Sale from 11:59 p.m. on 23rd June. Download the Jumia app to enjoy unbelievable deals like this Brom Cooker Heineken 20-pack Everyday Essentials up to 90% off. Jumia, the online shop you can trust.
We, ninajeri, ndeta hizo viatu zangu za nyama.
Hey Paps, is how?
We, vijana, nini baya na nyinyi leo? Mnataka nini? Na mtu asiniitisha pesa.
Actually, we're planning to use our savings to go to Dubs. You guy, do you still have your passport?
Passport ya kazi gani? Kwenda Dubai unahitaji passport ya nini?
Come on dad. It's Dubs, as in Dubai, not Dubai.
Hey, ninajeri, hebu kuja uone vijana wako wamekuwa na wazimu. Hadi Dubai, na pesa ya nani?
Actually, we've been saving all our pocket money for this. With Bonfire Adventures, you can lipa pole pole. Lipa pole pole with Bonfire Adventures, the down payment only 3,000 Kenya shillings. Go to the Mara, Mombasa with SGR from 13,000. Dubai, Mauritius, Seychelles, Thailand, Egypt and Zanzibar from 60,000.
Welcome back. You're watching People and Politics here on Live. We continue apace with the conversation. Of course, we are looking at the Mount Kenya politics. And before we wind up, we just want also to, on this particular topic, we want to look at the editorial cartoons that we did have, or we do have today. And I can see also, Aaron Cheriot, you're straining at the list to say something before.
You had asked me 3 questions. I had answered 2. I hadn't answered the one for early campaigns. And Eseli is being extremely hypocritical when he criticizes the deputy president for going around his constituency. Eseli here, every Friday, no, just, your turn will come. Every Friday, he leaves Nairobi for Tongoren, his constituency, where he will attend perhaps a funeral, a wedding, a fundraiser, inspect development projects that are under his CDF. That is what an elected member of parliament is supposed to do. As a leader, you go out and interact with the people that elected you. It will be so foolish of you, and I know you're intelligent, that's why you're on your 3rd term as a member of parliament. If you sat here in Nairobi and expected your CDF committee to execute your development agenda, the DP has a constituency. His constituency is called Kenya. He's elected by Kenyans. It is his official state duty to go around and inspect the work that the government that he leads is carrying out in the country. Therefore, this thing of his campaigning, I don't understand where it comes from.
All right, let's say from Eseli, right of reply.
Yes,
and
of course.
We continue.
I don't know where the Senator Cheriot got this from, because I've not criticized the DP for going around. I just said he goes around with a retinue of MPs who then campaign. Then when he stands up, he's not campaigning. But when you say you're not campaigning, you tell it's the birds. No, there are no councillors. There are no councillors these days for your information.
MCAs.
I don't go around with MCAs. I go to an MCA's ward, I deal with that MCA in their ward. Every MCA stays in their ward.
For political supporters.
So, I mean, if you are collecting these people and going around with them, and you are inspecting development projects, and you are not campaigning, then tell them to also stay in their constituencies and do their work.
Okay. All right. Let's say from Jacob, we'll come to you. I guess we go sequentially.
Yes. Aaron, slow down. I'm not sure you are helping the DP's cause. This is a case where Achebe said someone was dancing themselves lame before the main dance. That is what DP is treating this country to. I do not see how going to church every Sunday to dish out money is development. I checked the Jubilee manifesto, it's not even there. Going out to pray. Everybody goes to church.
You must have read the wrong document.
No, it has nothing to do with going to church every Sunday, and that is not the role of a DP.
They are inspecting development projects in the church.
Yeah, which development project of the government? The state and the church are 2 separate entities. It is in law.
We have not complained when you go to bars.
No, you
want to complain when you
yeah,
go
but
to
I don't. When I go to a bar, I don't complain. I don't complain that I don't purport to be doing state development. In fact, I run many of them.
But neither do we.
So no, but you know, you let's be decent.
Okay. Also be decent in your
No, what I'm just saying, the DP is treating this.
I have my standing orders here.
Yes.
I'll take charge now between Aaron Cheriot and Jacob Midio. Let him have his head, please.
No, they think they can gag us from talking. But back to what Uhuru did. Matangi, the president called the MPs thugs. I saw the interpretation there. So when you say he didn't name them, he said elected leaders, elected thugs. Go back to your constituency. Deal with your CDF issues. I agree that the president said he's not running, which means he's saying, let us do what I am telling us to do, which is deal with the issues that have caused us agony every 5 years. And every 5 years is for the biggest tribe in this country is Kikuyu. They fret the idea of election because what happens to them around this country. That is why Uhuru is saying we want to live a Kenya where any Kenyan is free to live wherever they are without fear. And you know what he was addressing, and the DP was sitting there. This careless talk, which keeps coming about, that if you don't make Ruto the president, then there are going to be consequences. That is what Uhuru was talking about. Let us not be simplistic. He was saying it because he knew Ruto was sitting there. Those MPs, they are even a group of Kikuyu MPs in Rift Valley who keep saying if we don't vote for Ruto, then we are in trouble. In other words, the elections are not about issues. Elections upcoming will be about fear that the Kikuyus will be in trouble in Rift Valley. And Uhuru is saying no. I mean, it is just that simple. To borrow the words of PLO Lumumba, we must make our politics clinical. And I am happy if it takes Uhuru to be angry. I am very happy that we are beginning to scratch the surface. Thank you.
Okay, Senator Wamatangi.
Yes, but just a few points only to let Jakoyo know on that question that he raises. Did the president name anyone? No. He didn't. He never named anyone. He spoke generally. Yeah. But I've also been specific here. I've said, because I'm on many of those social media platforms and so on, I know there are elected members who have been insulting the president directly. And those are the ones I have said their days are also numbered. Because we cannot allow them. We cannot allow anybody to be insulting the president directly and calling him names and ridiculing him. That one we will not allow.
Or even indirectly.
Yeah, or even indirectly. You see, because that is not what we elected the president to be. He's not an object of ridicule, especially from members of parliament or other elected leaders. That's one we will deal with. Now, secondly, is on this broad issue, and about this, what I would like to say, that we as Jubilee must realize that we have serious enemies, and most of those that we competed with for this election, who are far and wide, and many have disintegrated in so many fashions and outfits, and this narrative can be driven from any corner to make sure that Jubilee does not realize what it promised the people of this country. And I take it that is why the president is agitated. That we said things that we are going to do, that we promised. We have been on the road, and we did those things between 2013 and 2017 to impress the people to want to give us another mandate for 2017 to 2022. Now we are starting to play games in between, and that is enough to rile anyone to action and to speak passionately and to say this is how we must act. That is the president's message. I have no issue with it personally, because unless we do that as a party to ensure that we are going to deliver on 2022, then we will collectively be left to blame. But let me make a last point, a quick one, Deba, because then it has also degenerated into making the community which I come from and which the president comes from to look like we are in the marketplace for uptake. We are not. We are part of the integrated communities of Kenya. We are intelligent people. We know where we want. We know how to make political choices. We know how to take options. We have been there before. We are clear in our minds where we want to go. We are very, very clear. But we have to give development this time an opportunity and make sure that the government we supported is the government that we are going to support to succeed. When it comes to choices on where we shall be, where we want this country, our minds are as clear as the stars. There is no mix in our minds. We are clear.
Thank you.
We are cohesive as a community. We are one. And there are people who have been trying to drive an agenda to divide the community and saying that there is this group of Tanga, there's that group of Kieleweke, there is that group of diaspora living in wherever, in Mombasa, in Rift Valley. We are one community where we are. And I've said we are a part of the integrated community of Kenya, communities of Kenya. But we're also clear about our culture and where we come from. Which is this group
you're calling, you're talking about, and why aren't you calling out this particular group?
Which group didn't I call out? I've said
you're saying there's a certain group that is trying to divide. Which group are you talking about?
I'm saying there has been an agenda to divide the community.
From whom?
That is why you find that there is a lot of hype about a group called Kieleweke, another hype about a group called Tanga.
From who?
And also you find that there is a lot of narratives going around the community far and wide, that there is a Kikuyu community called the diaspora of Mombasa, called the diaspora of the Rift Valley, called the diaspora of Taita Taveta and other places, because our people are entrepreneurs, they move around, we just like every other Kenyan, and so what we are saying is that to
Thank
those
you.
that have that agenda, they will be very surprised because we shall remain as one community.
Right,
And we are clear on our agenda, our political agenda.
Let's bring it to a close with Boni Khalwale on this particular subject, because I think also this is maybe a developing story. We don't want to belabor the point. But let's hear from Boni Khalwale finally.
I think I like the clarification by Senator Wamatangi, because he's the only one who understands their language. He has said 2 points. The first one is that the president clarified in his mother tongue that he's not going to run again for president or any other elective office. The second one, he has said that all that we were hearing was a president articulating his agenda for Kenya. I would like to make a comment on each. If it is true that he has said those things, then it means the president respects our constitution, and we must congratulate him for that. And the second comment is that if he was articulating, Senator Matangi, his agenda to the nation, he should be reminded that he must never, ever attempt to articulate national agenda using his mother tongue. He must learn from the example of Mwai Kibaki. Kibaki never addressed us in his mother tongue. It is that kind of attempt that starts selling the tribal narrative that how I wish one of our own was the president, so that he could also be addressing us in Kiluya, so that he could also be addressing us in Luo.
No. Matangi, let him finish.
Proceed. I just wanted to inform him so that he can
No.
that with some information.
You cannot do that.
You see, Bonnie,
no, you're interrupting his train of thought.
You were speaking the other time on the roadside with your team where you were dancing. The group that he was speaking, the religious group called the Akorino, is probably 99% a Kikuyu religious sect, just like the one you're having that roadside tweet. Largely from your community. So sometimes, and I saw you speaking to them, you spoke in Kiluya, you know.
Just a moment. Just Wamatangi, let him finish his point first of all.
Wamatangi?
No, we know Boni took an entourage of Jeshri wa Israeli to Deputy President's, home.
Yes.
Yeah, dini, ilikuwa dini ya?
The African Divine Church.
African Divine, but we never saw Boni really speaking in Luya.
He met them on a roadside. You missed the first tweet when Boni met them. That was
a tweet,
and they were dancing somewhere on a road. I believe that's where he struck the deal, and it was a good deal.
Boni finish.
So I was just concluding by urging the president that he must address at all times himself to the country. When he wants to address issues that are non-Kenyan, then he's free to do so in private.
All right, thank you very much. And we want to also, maybe you can comment on the editorial cartoons that we do have today as well. This is what Gado has drawn in the Standard today. And of course, this is about President Uhuru Kenyatta, boxing right now. And we can see him dark. There's a shadow there, right? So that is darking and jinking this particular jabs from Uhuru Kenyatta. So I'll leave it for you to decipher that. Look at that. He's being beaten by this particular shadowy figure. And of course, also him also is giving out his jabs as well.
Uppercut.
Right? It's an uppercut.
Yes.
Bullfighter. Yes. Can you interpret this? Maybe you can also dovetail this with what is in the Daily Nation today. This is in the Standard. This is in the Daily Nation today. This is according to, not particular. I had it actually on my laptop. I'll just try and go there and lift it up for you so that you can see also what has been drawn here by Victor as well. There you go. And I had you talking about a lame duck, Boni Khalwale. This is what has been captured as well by Victor today. Quack, quack. I am no lame duck. And you can see that the president has been depicted there like a lame duck who's breathing fire.
Yeah, the only thing I can add on my statement on lame duck is that the president should also seize the opportunity for being in his last term. What other presidents have done elsewhere in the past is that when you are in your last term, because you are not seeking for re-election, you are more decisive, you are more charged to delivering, because there are no consequences that can deny you re-election. So it is a good thing to be in your last term, and it is at a time when you can be more decisive and more effective in rolling out not only your thoughts, but your development agenda. You should take up that.
Is that the only thing you're seeing in that particular cartoon?
Well, I had already spoken to that one in my first half, so I was just adding the
I know,
side.
but from the cartoon, you can see where the fire is being breathed to.
Yes, I can see.
But you're blind to that as well.
The deputy president is there, is getting the fire, and also my brother Waitito, they are getting it. But this is what I told the president, he is only normal. This is what others have done in the past, including the mercurial Obama, who lost his head clearly, and I have spoken to it.
All right. Edward Chirot, you want a brief comment on that?
On this lame duck?
Or the editorial cartoon?
I don't think it's accurate. Let me tell you something, and I hear Seli, and this should be particularly to Seli. I hear him, because I hear him ridicule Jubilee's track record each and every time. Let me assure you, Seli, God preserving us and giving us life. Come 2022, we'll have a record of President Uhuru Kenyatta's tenure in office, and we'll draw up the numbers for you. I can assure you it will not be something not to be happy about for us as a country. There may be challenges here and there. You know, we have our struggles with the small-scale traders and how a few of our economic policies are not working. That is expected, and it's a global phenomenon. There are things that we can change and do better, and that I agree. And that is why I continue to call upon the party leadership of our party to at least get into a round table with us and listen to some of the concerns that Kenyans particularly have. But I do not think that at this particular point you can refer to the president as lame duck. It's not possible. He's still in charge.
Okay, Sally?
I think lame duck comes in towards perhaps the last 1.5 years or so. I think even if you were lame duck, I think it's important for the members of Jubilee, who, as I said earlier on, have a deficit of etiquette, to respect their president and their party leader. I think it behoves them to do that. That's the only way the Kenyans will also respect Jubilee. Because if Jubilee members don't respect their own party leader, then, and again, they should remember, they are setting a very bad precedent.
But
they are setting a very bad precedent, because if heaven forbid, Jubilee takes it again in 2022, then whoever will take it again in 2022 for Jubilee should expect the same fire towards the end of their term. You know, you can't create something and expect it not to affect you. And the issue of they have got challenges with small-scale traders, and no, it's not just small-scale traders.
Thank you.
They've got challenges with small-scale traders, they've got challenges with smallholder farmers, they've got challenges with large-scale farmers, they've got challenges almost with everybody.
Right.
Every sector.
Seli wants to lecture us on respecting party leaders, while on this panel, he never used to respect his deputy party leader until he quit the party. So much for a man who lectures us about etiquette.
How do you talk about respect? What do you mean respect?
Let's hear from Jacob on that particular editorial cartoon.
respect.
Please, let's have it back.
First of all, let me request my young brother here. You know, we are in public. Just relax the way you are. You keep your demeanor the way it normally is. Kenyans love you.
And when you come here,
when we hear it's some serious matter. You know, when you talk about Uhuru being lame duck, Uhuru will not be lame duck. Uhuru will even be a very serious player beyond his presidency, because Uhuru has had time to craft his own state. Uhuru has a serious state. Uhuru controls the police, the military, the civil service, the financial sector. And if you think what I'm saying is a joke, give it this remaining 36 months. You will see that Uhuru has figured out how he will rule this country beyond his presidency. And why? Jubilee killed parliament. Jubilee killed opposition. Jubilee figured they wanted to rule us backwards towards where Moi left us. And the result is that in their breakup, Ruto has left that future to Uhuru. That is why we need time to change. And Aaron, there's no way you can have a legacy when your legacy is about SGR, Kunana Gulalu, laptops. You're talking about small business. Now you are squandering public funds saying you want to build for us houses without asking us, do we need jobs or houses? You know, this country is at a point where we must just sit down and debate. And I think we have an opportunity. And I want to talk to my friend Kimani Wamatangi, that this, they say when you never think, see a lion that is rained on and think it is a cat. This lion, which looks like a cat now and has agreed to handshake with you, use the opportunity so that we can give this country a better future. Thank you.
Thank you. Lastly, Wamatangi, on the editorial cartoon?
On the fire spitting. Because that's what it seems to depict. And I described that as peak passion. I believe it is the expression that comes from the belly when you're trying to make a point that you believe in. What the depictor of this cartoon or the one who's conceived the satire is that when the president was speaking, he spoke about a vision that he believes in. But again, let me go back to what I said earlier, that unfortunately most of the people did not understand because he spoke in mother tongue. The vision that he was trying to
that you clarified. That you clarified. You
yes,
understand? I just want to comment on the cartoon.
That's what I'm relating to the cartoon. That it is when you are speaking about an internalized vision of something that you have believed in for 7 years and you want to conclude in the next 3 years.
Right, thank you.
Then you speak it with passion, and it might be construed to be fiery, and indeed it can be fiery. Because you want people to go along with you to deliver. And he knows that time is ticking, Dibal. He has 3 years or less to deliver on the promises he made. And you know, the worst bit about being in the position where he is that anything that goes right or anything that goes wrong, as Jacoyo said one day here, it is going to be blamed on him squarely and no one else until the end of his term. Anything that will be done well, if you mess up the country, this will be the story that will be told about his presidency. If it were me, I would react the same way. I want to seal my legacy. I want to make sure that I've moved the country to the next level. Now that people believed in me to ask me to do it and give me the mandate to do it. So I don't think at all he is wrong in speaking that boldly, that passionately about what he believes in.
And he's no lame duck at all.
I mean, you know, Dibal, people have different styles of leadership. There are people who are articulately managerial, that he is able to delegate and order things to get done in a structured way from one position. And there are people also who are doers, who go around to get that done, and they see it. And they actualize it themselves in person. Those are different management tactics and styles of leadership, of getting things done, of moving people forward. None of them is a failure. It just depends on which one do you choose to use. Yeah.
Right. Maybe as a pause giver for all of us, we had also the regime of Mwai Kibaki, and we never had such pronouncements, you know, being made from the podium as well. You know, fire and brimstone, as the president just did on Sunday as well. But there was an aspect of silent diplomacy, so to speak. We never had him commenting on everything, but we had him working. Is that a sign of good effective leadership?
I'll tell you.
No, I'm just, I just want to get your reactions before we move on. That was a silence diplomacy, and of course we had so much on the ground evidently seen as far as development is concerned. But we never had Mwai Kibaki, you know, making these pronouncements. And of course, he was not a man of many words, but action did follow, of course, his legacy.
You know, Dibal.
You've spoken. Let's just hear from someone else on this. Bone Khalwale.
Yes, I think the difference...
It's a different topic, but you've just spoken right now.
Okay, so, but it's coming back to me.
It will come back to you. Bonnie, briefly.
It is the same thing using a different style. It must not be lost to anybody that even Mwai Kibaki wanted to control and manage and decide his succession. He tried it. He tried to sell Musalia Mudavadi to Mount Kenya. He failed. He was defied by members of parliament openly, the way Uhuru risks to be defied by the members of parliament. So the only difference is that Mwai Kibaki was doing it behind the scenes, but Uhuru has chosen to go public. Also, Mwai Kibaki was not also too economical. Sometimes you all remember when he used to tell people mafia kuku. Yeah.
All right, let's hear from Era Cheriot. But the mafia kuku was on a very light touch, yeah? When he started fumbling in cheek.
What about Kumbav?
The insults were in Swahili.
So maybe they sounded better.
But in that
Anyway,
context,
you know, in that regard, it's only human. By the way, nobody should blame President Kibaki for trying to control how it all ended up after him being in office. It's only human that you feel that, you know, after all the work that I have done, I think I should leave the country in the hands of someone I trust and that kind of a thing. It happened to Moi as well. You remember what he tried to do with now President Uhuru?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Boni earlier had quoted that angry tirade that Barack Obama had on the Democratic Party, when he felt they were not going all out for Hillary Clinton. It is just a human phenomenon.
Yes.
Therefore, there's nothing absolutely wrong. We all, as humans, try and do things the way we see them, especially when you have power at your disposal. You feel that it should be directed in a certain path. The only unfortunate thing is that is not how politics works. Politics work extremely difficult. If there's anything that the voters treasure, it is that power to vote and the decision that they have. They never want to be told that vote in a certain direction or do things in a particular direction. And there's something that, you know, I keep hear people saying that, for example, that what the president was doing is completely unnecessary, and maybe perhaps it was unbecoming of his conduct. Perhaps people should Google and check out this a video someone sent me out last evening. It's called Moments of Presidential Fury. It is a history of presidents from all over the world, including presidents of superpowers, the things that they do when they feel as if people are not in tow with their vision. So it's only human, as Boni has observed, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
thank you. Right, briefly, Eseli, we don't need to belabor the point.
I said it earlier that I think what the president did was unfortunate, but maybe he didn't realize that an aggressor usually does that to provoke you to do exactly what they wanted you to do so they can disparage you more. I think the president should guard against that so that he does not get exposed in that kind of scenario. Because if you find the statements being made now against His Excellency the President, they are not very nice. But perhaps that's what the aggressors wanted, so that he can react that way, then they hit back at him.
Right. On the silence diplomacy of Mwai Kibaki.
The value now the president has felt intimidated for a long time. It shows. And this Sunday, I don't think after this Sunday, I don't think the intimidation will continue, because I think the intimidation actually was based on assumption that the DP made Uhuru Kenyatta. But this outburst made the DP say, Mr. President, I thank you, you made me. So at least for once, Kenyans know there's nothing shared. Uhuru is the boss. And the DP actually looked beaten. Said, Your Excellency, I thank you so much. You made me who I am. He said it.
He spoke before. Why are you lying on the morning?
Right.
No.
Why are you lying in the morning, Jacoyo?
You see, what I'm just saying, let me accept that he spoke before.
Yeah, and then shut up.
But then, the admission does not alter, it does not alter the fact that the DP went and subdued himself in front of the president.
He has always done that.
All right, let's hear from Wamatangi finally.
No more
Wamatangi.
intimidation.
Dibal, you know, the standard measure of performance is looking at the actual work done, not whether the person is vocal or whether the person was silent like Kibaki, but what did they finally get done? And I believe that for Jubilee, at the end of 2022, the correct measure will be on what or to what percentage and extent have we delivered on what Kenyans have expected at this time with the mandate that we have, and whether it was delivered in volcanic atmosphere from talk and interaction, whether there was fire and brimstone from from friction between leaders. But at the end of the day, has there been delivery? Kibaki's style was, of course, as you've said, unique, because unique to the extent that he was, a contained man. And he was, to an extent, what you would describe probably as an introvert. And there's a big book that's very interesting, Dibal, on the power of introverts. And how they get to win and get things done, sometimes to the amazement of people who don't think that they can deliver. So people, remember before Kibaki was elected, every cartoon used to depict Kibaki as a fence sitter. And you remember how he was ridiculed. Oh, he never makes decisions. He always wants to sit in the middle. Indeed, if the term watermelon had been coined then before, I believe then that's what they would have been calling him. But when he was given the responsibility to carry the country to the next level, he did it in style, and his own style. I would say then that Uhuru Kenyatta, at the end of his term, will have also the right to claim, like Frank Sinatra sang, that he did it his own way and delivered.